Well, as a developer, we always believe that we're going to build a product, and if you build it, they will come, right? And so it's like, yeah, I'll build this awesome product. I'll have, 1% of the market. We're going to hear this again later. So,
yeah, okay.
1% of the TAM, and
is
that's
a $10 bazillion
dollar,
yeah,
right? And we'll be successful. But it turns out the hardest part is not actually building the product. The hardest part is the sales and the marketing.
Yeah,
which, as a developer, not very good at.
Welcome to the Who You Know Show, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your wealth, health, business, career, your relationships, and definitely in your life. I'm your host, Trevor Houston, and on today's episode, we got David O'Hara. He's the president of Improving, a company known for its innovative approach to IT and business solutions. So welcome, David, to the Who You Know Show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Dave.
Well, I got to tell you, before we get started, your team, okay,
yeah,
is freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Top
yes.
notch.
Like,
Top notch.
100% I agree. They do a fantastic job.
Absolutely. They help set all of this up. And they're just freaking rock stars.
And I just want to put in a good word for Tim Dickey, because
Tim
is the bomb. We've known Tim for actually a few years during his transition.
Yes.
Coming into Improving.
Yes.
And I just want to put a plug in for him, for you, that he is just phenomenal. He's been a phenomenal contact and friend. So.
Well, thank you. That's great to hear. And, the awesome part of this isn't anything like their job. This is just what they love to do. And the fact that they jump in and are like, I can help with this, I can help with this. Both him and Jake and Vaughn and kind of that whole crew, this is what they love to do.
Yeah.
And so that they love to do it and they're excellent is just like a 1-2 punch.
Well, a company is only as good as its people, and it always shows. When I see the people are just, filled with joy and they're just amazing. Like, again, the people are at Improving are awesome. It talks to the leadership of the company, right? You go into other places and you see negativity and you see this and that with the employees or whatever, and it speaks to the leadership. And
Sure.
So leadership, right? So I just want to say that speaks a lot to you, being the president of Improving. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got your start and how you got to where you're at?
Yeah, so I got my start in technology. Well, I've always been a nerd. So I actually wrote my first piece of software when I was 9.
Wow.
I was self-taught, but growing up, it was always, you're going to go to medical school, and that was the game plan. However, as that evolved and I got there, I realized that my gifting meant I could actually start a business and make money versus going to school forever. Right. And so I dropped out and started a company, and we were growing, and we ultimately sold that company. And of course, I thought, super easy. Like, I love startups. This is awesome. We should do this. And managed to kill a couple more before I realized, gosh, this is really hard.
Okay.
And,
okay, hold on. I got to stop you there. Hold on.
Okay,
because there's always lessons in the failures, man.
Oh, yeah.
So you had to take a couple behind the barn and shoot them, okay? What was it that, biggest mistake, or what would you have done differently, or what would happen with some of those failure lessons?
Well, as a developer, we always believe that we're going to build a product, and if you build it, they will come, right? And so it's like, yeah, I'll build this awesome product. I'll have, 1% of the market. We're going to hear this again later. So,
yeah, okay.
1% of the TAM, and
is
that's
a $10
all I
bazillion
need.
dollar, yeah.
Right, and we'll be successful. But it turns out the hardest part is not actually building the product. The hardest part is the sales and the marketing.
Yeah.
Which, as a developer, not very good at. And so there was a lot of learning in terms of what does it take to find the right product market fit. What does it mean to talk to your customer? It's like, well, I don't need to talk to a customer. I know what they need. Actually, you don't. And so there was a lot of those types of learnings that really were the downfall. And the hurdles that I had to overcome, and understanding sales. Sales is king. Like, ultimately, revenue covers all ills. And so if you can figure out, like, how is it that I'm going to achieve that? How is it I'm going to touch my first 5,000 customers? Who are those customers? What's their value prop? Those types of things were a lot of the learning along the way that helped us.
Yeah. Okay. So sales and marketing, a couple of things that are crucial to any business, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what you're building. You got to have sales and marketing.
Yes.
If nobody knows you, then nobody flows you. Okay.
That's right. Well,
right? You could have the best product in the world. Oh, I bring up this all the time. So think about McDonald's. right?
Yeah.
Do they have the best hamburger?
No.
No, they have the best known hamburger,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Everybody knows what it is. Da 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 da. Right?
I'm loving it.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And anybody that says, you know, what was the best kept secret? Like, okay, wrong direction. Like, you should never be the best kept secret.
No.
Like, that's a terrible thing to say about your
Sure.
company.
Don't keep me a secret.
That means you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you came into improving, it was early, right? It was early
Yeah,
on.
part of the founding.
You, Curtis, was Curtis there at the time, right?
Yes.
And so, what were some of the other key components that drove improving into what it is now?
I would give a lot of credit to that founding group that started. They had started a business before that was a consulting business. I make the joke, you know, we have our founders group, and I kind of was the foundling. I was not part of that friend group that came together and really was core, but shortly joined from outside. And it really was their diligence and their focus towards the vision that they had for what improving could be. They wanted improving to be a great place to work. They wanted improving to focus on that excellence and really to be that trusted partner to their customer and find ways that they could deliver value and focus on business value, not just on technology.
Yes.
So I think we may have skipped past this, and that's totally cool. But for the audience that doesn't know, okay, tell them what improving is, what it does. You know, like break it down for the person just listening that has no idea what's going on.
Sure. So Improving is a modern digital services company. So we do the spectrum of IT services, everything from product design, user testing and research, all the way through development and even some managed services. We also do training, a lot around process, but also technical training, and then some management consulting, a lot around culture and values and those types of things.
So you help companies build systems?
Yes.
And
So I would
processes?
say you've used software we've built, you just wouldn't know it was us.
Ah, okay.
So if you've used the little kiosk to check in on a flight to get on American Airlines, we built that for them.
Oh,
And
snap.
So there's a lot of those types of applications that are out in the wild for some of these large businesses, maybe even small and medium businesses as well, where they need help from a technology perspective or from a practices perspective. Their own team maybe doesn't have enough bandwidth to do it. They bring us in, we help them deliver that project and develop that piece of business value, and then off we go. And we get to go do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
That's really cool. So you're big problem solvers.
Yes.
For companies.
We love to solve problems. And I say all the time, customers don't call us because they're like, hey, everything's great here. It's awesome. Let's just hang out. Like, stuff's on fire. We got deadlines. It's a mess. Like, can you come in here and walk alongside us and figure this out?
Yeah.
And so it tends to be a little bit of that firefighter mode, right? Where you show up and you're like, let's figure this out. Like, what is it we're going to do first? What is it we got to do next? Like, what is it we need to achieve?
Now, we're going to talk with the folks at Conscious Capitalism here in a little while, but
Okay.
you guys are a big proponent, big adoption, firm of Conscious Capitalism. Can you tell us how that plays into Improving's vision and your strategy?
Certainly. Well, I go back to, we were talking about the founding of Improving and some of the things we were focused on, what we wanted Improving to be. A great place to work, delivering business value. These ideas, these concepts that were part of our DNA, when we found Conscious Capitalism, the movement, it was a vocabulary and a framework for what we were already doing. They call it an unconscious conscious capitalist. You didn't know that's what it was called, but when we found that, we're like, this is awesome. And we jumped in kind of with both feet and started adopting their framework. Everybody read the Conscious Capitalism book that Raj Sisodia and John Mackey had written. And we started figuring out, all right, what's our stakeholder model? Who is it that we serve? What's that larger ecosystem that we should be thinking about providing value to? And some of the things we had done since the beginning, the community is a big piece of our stakeholder map.
Absolutely.
It's why we provide space for user groups and meetups to meet in our space. It's why we contribute at conferences and we have so many speakers and people that blog and contribute to open source. But then it's also why Code Launch is amazing, is because this is community. This is us building this community, giving to this community. You'll hear later, we don't take any money. We don't get on their cap table for them to participate in this. That's not what this is about. This is about our give to make the place better. And so that's a huge piece.
Yeah.
I had, just to kind of recap on this, is I had been invited, Tim had invited me to some events. One was a movie premiere a couple years back. And, I'm just friend, right? I'm not a client of Improving or anything like that. And so to go in there and bring my family, by the way,
right,
just totally blew my mind. I mean, that you as a company were doing this in the community. And so that's when I actually started learning about what kind of company Improving was, and then tied in with that with conscious capitalism. So kudos to you guys. I mean, it's just from a community partner.
Well,
phenomenal.
and with this partnership with Code Launch, right? So if I'm not mistaken, that Improving will help these finalists kind of figure out their fires and
develop the code.
We certainly do. The Code Launch program specifically is about taking startups and they apply and they go through our process and they become a finalist. The finalists then are selected. There's 6 of them that typically get a hackathon, a 24-hour hackathon as finalists, and then Code Launch Day is demo of here's what we help them build.
Yeah.
So they get help from professional software development teams, ourselves at Improving, a number of our friends who also run consulting companies and are professional developers.
And you're not taking a stakeholder, in the company. You're not
nothing.
taking it.
We're giving this to them.
Right. And I love that because it's a give first approach where hopefully their company's super successful, it grows, and they're going to remember you.
Absolutely.
They're going to remember you, and they're going to have more fires.
Yes.
Like you're gonna start, like you're gonna help them with the initial fires that are just eventually gonna start burning like wildfires.
Right. Well, and hopefully part of that fire is the rockets that they're on as they're running up and to the right.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's part of where Code Launch was, such a big part of that. This one, specifically the World Championship, because we've taken Code Launch, which started here in Dallas and was just here, and spread it to our other offices, we realized these communities are everywhere.
Oh yeah, globally.
And there's opportunity then for us to bring them just like we did. So we have teams from Canada, teams from Mexico, teams across the U.S. where we've done this, and we're bringing them together for them to compete for additional funding. To say, here you go, here's another $50,000 that we're just giving that is going to help you light those rockets.
Yeah. So I can see you're very passionate about this. Like you could tell just looking at him. He's excited. You know what I'm saying? So where does that come from? Tell me where does that fire come from?
Well, going back to the story earlier, the important things that I learned about sales and marketing.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, all right, sales. Well, what that means is I got to go out there and just like grind until somebody gives in. Right? That's what sales is.
Just got to wear them down.
Right. Just grind to a yes. Grind to a yes. We don't believe that's what it looks like. And that's the thing that gets me excited is the Improving way of selling looks different. It's relational. It's inviting you to movie night. It's inviting you to Code Launch. It's inviting you to these things where we can be relational and we can enjoy time together. Because when you do have those fires, when you do have those problems, you're like, you know what? You don't think, I'm going to call Improving. You think, I'm going to call David.
Right.
I'm going to call Tim.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do, and that's how we achieve it, and we achieve it differently than others.
Well, I love it too because it's the same. So we're in financial services, and I do a lot of mentoring with other agents and advisors, and I'm always trying to teach them. You're talking about sales, and you're like, just beat them down into submission. No, like or cold calling, and like just all that stuff. I'm like, no, that's the wrong approach. What we need to do is let's invite them out to an event. Let's let's wine and dine them if we need to. Like let's have an event where we actually have people want to come out. It's something that they enjoy to do, right? And educate through the process.
Yeah.
And have a call to action. And those that are interested will step forward, and those that aren't won't. And that's totally cool. But at least you're able to, be an educator instead of a salesperson.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and if you've built that relationship, what it means is when you run across something, then you're able to feed back because you know their situation. You know what it is they're tilting at. You know what their goals are.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes I'll run across an article or a white paper or something, I'm like, ooh, I remember a conversation with my buddy Rob, or I remember I was talking to Susan, and here's a challenge she was wrestling with. Let me share this with you. Let me help you. And so that, again, that give first.
Give first.
Is very, very useful.
Well, and that's biblical, right? You reap what you sow.
Yes.
Okay? So give. If you are planting good seeds, you're going to reap a good harvest, right? What do you say to those people out there that aren't givers? They're takers. You know what I'm talking about. You've met those people.
I do. You know, it's hard for a lot of people to wrap around because it's a scarcity mindset, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can't live well in a scarcity mindset because that's fear-based.
Yeah.
And we're not meant to live fear-based, right? We're meant to live with an abundance mindset. And so if we live in that mindset, what are the things that we can do to help others? It's one of the things that we talk about in our 5 commitments at Improving that we believe makes Improving a great place to work. One is sharing the success and accomplishments of the company. And share means, giving credit. It also means financial. It means a number of different things. But why that's important is when we go to our values, dedication. Dedication for us is not thinking of others less, or not thinking less, thinking more of others without thinking less of yourself.
Okay.
So don't put people down to put yourself up.
Right. And now what that means is if I find ways to elevate those around me and the group finds success and I know we share, I'll find my success in that. So if you're with your community, if you're with that right group and you all are together, when I elevate everyone around me, I will be successful
Rising
in sharing
tide.
that.
Yeah, rising tide lifts all ships.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
if you want to go fast, go alone. But
If
you want to go far, you better get you a group.
That's
So
right.
what are the others? So that was the first one, right? There's 4?
Yeah,
4
so
more?
there's 3. Well, there's 3 values. I crossed over. Yeah, there's 3 values: excellence, involvement, and dedication.
Okay.
And each of them has a saying. But then there's 5 commitments that we have that we honor as executives of Improving to building Improving as a great place to work.
Yes. Okay. So now Improving also has grown exponentially, right? I mean, over the last few years, it's just exploded. Some of it's through acquisition, right? Some of it's through organic growth. On the acquisition side, how do you feel Improving is doing, and how are you integrating those other companies and cultures in with your own and maybe bringing that synergy, right?
Yeah. This is where I would say we've done 15 acquisitions now, which is a lot. And I've seen them all. And our M&A team has done an amazing job of figuring out some secret sauce in there.
Okay.
One of the things that we do is we assess culture before we assess anything else. And so talking to them about what is your culture in your organization, how they think about their people, how they think about their business, understanding if that aligns with us because we are very culture heavy.
Yes.
And if that's mismatched, the integration isn't going to work. It's not going to go well. So it doesn't matter what the financials look like. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. And it would be bad for everyone involved. And so they've worked to build a process that really does a good job of understanding is what the executives say, what the people on the ground feel and experience.
And that's very unique, right? To take that first step on the approach.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we'll start there, and then we figure out, okay, where does this align from a financials perspective? How do you work out the deal structure? All the details that come when you typically think of M&A. But starting with that culture piece has really been key for us. And we've learned a lot along the way. I'm not going to claim we're perfect by any means, but that's been really, really key for us. And then having a really good integration process on the backside to say, here's what clear expectations are, and here's what it is we're marching towards, and kind of here's the song page that we're all singing off of to make sure that we're in alignment and nobody gets caught off guard with, wait, where are we at? What was it we were supposed to be doing? Did we miss? Because you want to make sure that that's good, most importantly, for the company being acquired.
Yeah.
When you're acquired, I mean, the first thing that happens when you hear, well, guess what, is, oh no.
Yeah.
That's the first thought. Everybody's small brain goes nuts on you. And you're like, oh no, what does this mean? Do I need to run? Fight, flight, or freeze all happens. And so having a good process around here's what this is going to look like helps a lot of that subside. It helps a lot of those folks coming in to understand this is what our culture looks like. This is how you're going to weave into this and how you're going to have opportunities to embrace it. Or maybe we can defer some of that and you embrace it a little bit later. We can move this around depending on where your culture is right now.
Yeah.
So as we're here at the event, right, we got some finalists out here. Okay, they're about to go up there for the ultimate championship award. You know what I'm saying? And but let me ask you a question. Do you have anybody that you are like really like you're like, oh, I hope they win? You know what I'm saying? I'm rooting for a certain team here.
I was told that I have to be a tiebreaker, so I'm being neutral.
Okay.
I'm being neutral.
Dang, I was trying to get
open
some.
mind.
Hey, shh, no one has to know. Hey, this won't release for a few weeks. Shh, it's not live. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. He's looking at me.
He's like, nope. He's like, nope.
I'm not going to break.
Not gonna break.
Today. Not today. Dang. Okay. Cool. Well.
Well, so another question outside of the pick, David's pick, networking, right? So business development, sales, right, are all key. What is Improving doing to build your network, build your sales funnel, build your business development team? What's your focus on that end?
Well, it's really interesting. We actually just did this exercise this year to take a look at the sources of our leads. Like, where do our opportunities come from? And kind of dive deep into the true source. You know, lots of times it'll be, oh, well, I introduced so-and-so. It is like, right, but how did you know them? Oh, well, it turned out, and the majority of our leads come from former clients and former employees. So our former clients, somebody that was, hey, I was, vice president of development over here, left that job, I was over here, run into a fire, I call, hey, Dave, can we get some help over here? So that tends to be one of the biggest slices of opportunities for us. The second one is partners. So having partners like Microsoft, Azure, Google, AWS, Snowflake, Confluent, these partners that we have really deep relationships with have been another great source of that. Kind of to your comment about going far, you go together, and that those partnerships, being really well connected with them and finding ways that you can help each other out has been very valuable to us.
So you're also a founding member of the Forbes Dallas Business Council. Can you talk to me about that? Tell the audience what that is, and then what is your experience been with that?
Sure. So they started the group as kind of a local connect group. So a chance for us in the business community to build relationships, get together, kind of the networking, but also just spending some meaningful time with each other, seeing if you can help out. We all know what 2020 did.
Yeah.
And so it pivoted to virtual, and it has since pivoted back, but it's become more than just the local group. So we have a little bit of the local group, but it's a much larger group now. So they've connected us in with the other major metros. So the business council for me has been very helpful from a connections perspective and relationally, but then also one of the things that I enjoy doing, not terribly good at it, but I like to write. And just, again, another vehicle for sharing the things that I've learned.
Yeah.
And I feel like so much of what's been poured into me, I need to pour out. And that was one of the avenues. And so they've been very helpful. Everybody knows the Forbes name. The fact that they'll pair you up with an editor. I can write my article. They'll tell me what's terrible. They'll tell me what, oh, go rewrite this. This works. This is good. Here you go. And you can kind of have that ping pong with them. Has been really helpful in my sharing of some of the things that I've learned.
How do you get involved in something like that?
Pay them.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
fair enough.
Yeah, it's a membership deal.
Okay. All right. I got you. Fair enough.
Not the founding part, because we already started, but yes, you can join the business council.
Okay.
I don't know
cool.
if you have to be invited at this point.
Pay to play, baby. Sometimes you got to pay to play. Actually, on that note, Forbes was one of my first news publications.
Features.
Yeah, features.
Okay.
But it was a pay to play.
Yeah.
It was a pay to play.
If that's what you're targeting, it totally makes sense. You
Yeah.
can get the value proposition works, right? Sometimes you go in and you pay. Sometimes you go in and you pay for things. It doesn't work.
No,
it doesn't pan out.
Well, this
the
one
way.
definitely worked because the notoriety and everything. And what happened is I ended up getting a whole bunch of other news and PR. Because people saw that. Oh, you were just featured in Forbes. Oh, you were featured, right? And then boom,
Yep.
boom, 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 right? So
It
it
works.
did. It definitely worked. Yeah, for sure. And I can't say that all the other ones that I've been on had the same impact.
Well, it's not Forbes.
Right. Well,
Yeah. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
People
but
have
I
heard
mean-
about that.
yeah, but like, CBS, ABC News, like, things like that being on the news and actual, like, I would have not thought that a simple article text would have made a bigger impact than
A TV segment. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
a video on the news, right? Like, I would have thought that would have got more
Yeah.
than this text. You know what I'm saying? But again, that logo, Forbes, people see that logo and they're like, oh, you were on Forbes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I guess it worked.
It
Yep.
worked.
Yep.
It worked. It's pretty cool.
The future of improving, right?
Yes.
IT, development, support, right? Coaching and strategy. Where is business going for improving in the IT side? How much of a role is regenerative AI going to play, and how are you leveraging that? And where do you think you'll be in 5 to 10 years?
So I'm going to answer those in reverse
Like
because they're
12 questions.
Yeah, that was
they're,
like, yeah,
they're
serious.
easy, easier
Three-part
for my
question.
small brain. So where we're going to be goes back to in 2020 we sat down and Curtis pulled together the team, and the statement was, there's that saying, you overestimate what you can do in a year and you underestimate what you can do in 10.
Yeah.
And so it was like, all right, 2030, what is improving? And we brainstormed, and he's like, nothing's out of bounds. Like, let's go crazy. And from that, we built our 2030 vision. This is what improving will be in 2030. And we have it written. It's 3 paragraphs. I can talk to each of the paragraphs of where we're going to be in terms of, we want to be an icon of conscious capitalism, like that iconic instance of, and we will build the company as a challenger brand to the big publics and competitive with them. We're going to build it on 3 pillars. So trust, innovation, and diversity. And we want to change the perception of the IT profession. When you talk to business about IT doesn't have a very good perception with CEOs. Like, there was a study that came out recently that said that we were number 2 in terms of the least trusted organizational unit.
Oh, wow.
Sales was number 1, which hurts my heart.
Yeah.
IT was number 2, legal was 3. Like, the lawyers beat us. Like, that's terrible.
Wow.
Like, that shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Don't worry, we'll edit that out of the episode. It's
Yeah.
fine.
And so, and sorry to my lawyer friends, like, yeah. But, we want to be that and show that IT, we can show up as a value player in the conversation. And that's a big piece of it. In terms of where improving will be, and I'll skip kind of down to the 3rd paragraph, we want to be 30 offices. We believe we can be $1 billion in revenue. We're going to be across the Americas, which we are now, as well as Asia and Europe. We want to spread this goodness to all areas because we believe business is the greatest force for good. And that's going to make a meaningful difference. And we want to take it out, and we want to take it to market.
Okay.
So that's a big piece of it. In terms of what does the market look like in the next 5 years? Yes, everybody's talking AI, and generative AI versus. There's a lot of things that are necessary for you to be able to leverage AI.
Right.
Data enablements are really necessary. What is your data governance strategy? We're having a lot of those conversations over the next couple of years to understand, like, where can we get ourselves in trouble? Because there's some very real boundaries. When we step over, there's going to be problems. And so how do we figure some of that stuff out? How is it that we experiment? And so we talk to our customers. Experimentation is how you achieve innovation. But you've got to be safe with your experiments. You have to set it up on a good platform. Make sure you understand where your data exists and where it might be going to, because you don't need to leak out your IP. We've all read stories about developers copying and pasting algorithms into ChatGPT, and now we have a problem.
Yeah.
You don't want that happening. And so there's been a lot of that. I think that cybersecurity is going to be the other big side of this. Not just what is the attack surface of our organizations. That's something we've been battling, well, since 2020, right? Everybody's attack surface got much bigger when everybody went home. But also, what is the internal risks as these things evolve? What are the what is our ability to remediate that business risks? There's business cybersecurity risks if you start to think about things like how much PII, privately identifiable information, so like your date of birth and those sorts of things, how much of that sits on your company's email server because somebody was passing around driver's licenses or passports or those types of things.
It's all over the place.
That's business risk in your business right now that you have no eyes on.
Yeah.
And so the
all
need to
data.
de-risk your business. AI is going to be very fundamental in helping us to identify those areas and then remediate them.
Yeah.
Well, I love this. Guys, if your business has got some fires, okay? If you got fires, you need to get this dude right here. You need to hire, okay? You need David O'Hara Improving, all right? Any last words for the audience?
No, thank you for letting me come and geek out and share with you guys.
You guys are awesome. Seriously, I got to
awesome.
just take my hat off to you guys, you and your whole team. Really, seriously, from the
Phenomenal.
top down, man. You guys are awesome. Seriously.
Thank you very much. We
Thank you,
appreciate
David.
it.
Appreciate you. Thanks for being on the Who You Know Show. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Who You Know Show podcast. My name is Trevor Houston, and if you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing wherever you listen and leave us a positive review to help us keep the mics on in the studio. Until next week, that's the show. It's all about Who You Know.